Charean Williams, by the way, of PFT is joining us here.
The legend.
And we'll start with one particular individual who was relevant to us for a few weeks because we were all hoping that Bill Belichick would become the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys so that Charean would have twin tattoos of Bill Belichick and Jerry Jones on each cheek, not her face. He put out yesterday the ad in the Boston Globe, page A3. So, I mean, you open the paper and there it is. Lengthy thank you, humanizing, very unlike him. And I think it was a nice touch.
Yeah.
But the timing wasn't a coincidence. He didn't do it the Sunday after he left.
Yeah.
He did it the Sunday after it was clear he's not going to be coaching anybody else this year. I know what I'm going to be doing, or at least I know what I'm not going to be doing. That's the Sunday it ends up in the paper as he starts thinking about 2025.
Well, and that's my fear. I hope our bet doesn't carry over to 2025 because suddenly the Cowboys become one of those
I don't remember
favorites.
you putting a cutoff deadline on it. I don't remember.
I will say I think things have changed from the Cowboys' standpoint of I do concede that he could be a candidate for that job in 2025.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy and Nick Sirianni go on the hot seat, the hottest of hot seats, entering next season, and they're going to have to do very well in order to keep their jobs. And where are those teams going to look? If they're looking for a head coach, they're probably going to look at Bill Belichick, among others.
Sure.
So I cannot see Jerry hiring a young coordinator. The only young coordinators he's ever hired are guys who work for him.
Right,
Jason
Jason
Garrett
right.
being one.
Right.
So he will go after an established head coach. So, just connect the dots
Yeah.
if the Cowboys don't do what Jerry expects them to do.
And he had no qualms about blurting it out last week at the
Yeah.
Senior Bowl that he can work with Bill Belichick. He had no reason to say any of that, and that's what refueled the potential for a couple of tattoos.
Well, so like, I mean, you're very in touch with the Cowboys. Like, give us the feel in the building down there right now that maybe like the national or the national media doesn't quite get. Like, we know they're disappointed they lost. McCarthy's back, yay. But what are kind of the under the radar rumblings there right now?
Well, I think it's just what you see.
Yeah.
It is, as Mike said, Jerry has fueled this additional talk of Mike McCarthy being on the hot seat and Bill Belichick being a candidate for that job. He had a chance to squash all of this by, A, giving Mike McCarthy a contract extension, which he didn't do, which is the same thing he did to Jason Garrett twice.
Right.
Once Garrett earned the extension and once he got fired and Mike McCarthy came in, or contract not renewed, however you want to phrase it.
Right.
So, he has the chance to say Mike McCarthy is our head coach long-term. He didn't do that. And not only did he not do that, he opened up this talk to Bill Belichick. So I will say Mike McCarthy and the staff knows exactly where they stand. There's no question about that.
Yeah,
they know that
surely.
they're on the hot seat for 2024.
How about the quarterback? Where, like, first, not only where you think he thinks he stands or that situation, but also, like, it's hard to gauge. Like, do Cowboys fans like Dak Prescott or not? It's like it's a weird thing where I can look at social media one day and everybody's defending him, and I can look on another day and I feel like they're all like, oh, he's just good. He'll never be great. He'll never get us to the promised land. You live there. Kind of give us the feel there, too.
I think it's 50-50.
Yeah,
I think there's really, and it was the same thing with Tony Romo.
Yeah.
You have the hardcore supporters, Dak can do no wrong, just like Tony Romo could do no wrong.
Right.
And then you have those who Dak can do no right. It doesn't matter what they're going to do, like he's their quarterback long-term. Oh, he's going to win us a championship. He's the guy.
Right.
So you have really the split 50-50. The Cowboys, to me, have a huge decision to make. What are you going to do with Dak Prescott? He has him in a corner right now, Mike, as you've written about a million times.
$59.4 million cap number. The only way to get that down is to extend the contract. And if he decides, I don't want an extension at all, it's $59.4 million this year, straight to the market next year, and they can't stop it from happening. And they'd carry $35 million in dead money under his name next year. They got over $90 million in cap dollars that have to be dealt with. And the only way to properly finagle that and finesse that is to sign him to an extension that pushes money into future years, gets him paid, and he had a good enough year that he can credibly say, I want $50 million a year. They really are stuck here. And I think it's highly unlikely that they would just say, we'll just
No,
stick with
they're stuck
59.4.
so
How
real-
can you do? How
Yeah,
can you do that?
right.
How can
Yeah.
you sign
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb? How
Right.
can you placate Micah Parsons?
Yeah.
They need other people in free agency. They got to, that's one thing. Yeah, like you kind of talked about, Jerry Jones put the onus on everybody else, and like, hey, you're on the hot seat. Hey, he's on the hot seat too. Their D tackles stink. Their middle linebackers stink. Their safeties are average. Right? That's his department. You got to help the two coaches out a little bit that way. And I feel like I'm with you guys, or at least we're on the. Like, there is no decision with Dak Prescott, I don't think.
They already
I don't think
made
they
it.
have
They already made it.
They're stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, if Jerry wants to win a Super Bowl in the next few years, I think so, right? It just feels that way to me.
Well, and Chris, Jerry's talked about pushing the chips all in.
Right.
And you just made the point. They have Micah Parsons to take care of and CeeDee Lamb to take care of, and they have to redo Dak. How are you going to be all in when you have all those big money contracts to do? And, by the way, the last big money, big name guy that you signed to a free agent deal was Brandon Carr. That was a long time ago. Like, that's not their MO. That hasn't been their MO.
I bet they try to convince Micah Parsons to wait. I bet they try to get him to wait until after year 4. And I wouldn't. We talked about that last week. $2.9 million for the position he plays.
Yeah.
No way in hell I'm putting a shoe on for $2.9 million.
It's the best defensive player in football. To me, he is less expendable than CeeDee Lamb. If you're making me make a choice, I'm going, we're going to pay Micah first, and then we'll work with CeeDee. We talk about it every year, right? Receivers are growing on trees right now. I mean, every year the draft supplies us with Puka Nacua in the mid-round. What is he? One of the best receivers in football. So I would certainly, if I'm going to roll the dice on that type of thing, I'd roll it more on, we're signing Micah, best defensive player in football, CD really good, but I'm not ready to say best receiver in football by any stretch of the imagination.
But he had his best year by far.
He had his
this
best
year.
year by far, definitely. But I don't think, I'm not ready to put him in the class of Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, right? That group of guys, Jamar Chase. Again, CD really good, but those are guys to me that can catch a slant and run for 80, run by you for a 70-yard bomb. CD can do some of that, but I think he needs also a little systematic help along that's different than those guys.
Mike, Chris mentioned all those receivers. Most of them need contracts that he mentioned. Who's going to be the first to do that first? Because that's what everybody's waiting for, is that first receiver deal.
I mean, I would say Justin Jefferson, but I still hold out the possibility that the Vikings use him as a bargaining chip to try to move up to get one of the quarterbacks, or do a 3-team thing where they would trade Justin Jefferson to someone else, and whatever they would get in a Justin Jefferson trade becomes the ammunition to go from 11 up to 1, 2, or 3 to try to get a quarterback. So until he's signed, I'm still I said that last year. If they don't sign him before the start of the 2023 season, I am watching for the possibility of Justin Jefferson being sacrificed to get them that thing they haven't had since Fran Tarkenton, a franchise quarterback,
So
if that's what they want to do.
We're hitting on here because, like, I'm not even up to date on total free agency, right, as far as all these guys. CD, we know. Justin Jefferson.
Jamar
Chase, right? Who else are we missing? Anybody? Oh, T. Higgins, we know, is in that conversation as well. But those are the main 4, right?
Superstars who deserve big contracts now. Jamar clearly wants
Jamar
his,
and JJ is going to be the
wait.
problem.
Right.
But he's going to wait. He wants to see Justin do it so he can one-up him.
Yep.
Right? And so that's where it could end up to both of them kind of dragging their feet a little bit.
And Jefferson and Lamb are from the same draft class. They're both entering their 5th-year options. This is the time. The whole idea of the rookie wage scale was to make sure that there aren't busts that make all this money. The guys who are great deserve to get paid. They shouldn't play these games with them, but they do.
Not.
So we'll see how that goes. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.